Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
There's this physicist, his name is Miguel Alcubierre of Mexico, and he conceived the calculations for a theoretical ship that could travel faster than the speed of light. This is where it gets trippy, because physics say you can't travel faster than the speed of light, but this ship, it stays still. In the universe, the cosmos travels past it. It creates its own space-time bubble where it doesn't defy the laws of physics, a gravitational wave-making machine that compresses the ocean of space-time in front of it and expands that ocean in its wake.
What?
With this equation, they said that you can travel 6 trillion miles in the blink of an eye because the cosmos, the universe, galaxies are moving that fast.
6 trillion miles.
In a blink of an eye.
Are you kidding me?
No! But isn't that a wild idea to think about? Of a ship that doesn't move,
right?
But it still travels.
If it's standing still, what does that mean? I don't understand.
It's just here, and it creates its own space-time gravitational field around it.
Right.
So it becomes its own space that's moving through space.
I feel like this is the beginning stages of us discovering the propulsion technology that these alien craft we keep seeing in the sky are using. That makes sense to me that we're figuring out how they got here if they came from, galaxies far, far away. This is just a theoretical ship. They don't know for certain that they can even build the thing. I'm not convinced that we have creatures or beings coming from other locations outside of our galaxy. I'm convinced that they've been here this whole time hiding, and that they're living underground or under the water somewhere. But before we go on to the next clip, I've got an announcement to make. I don't know if you've all seen my shirt yet. Made a NASA shirt. I can't sell this because you can't alter logos and then sell your own version of it, unfortunately. I thought that you could, because you see like the Jesus shirts that have the Pepsi logo but it says Jesus or something like that, or the Coca-Cola but it says Jesus Christ but it has the Coca-Cola logo. You see those types of shirts all the time, so I just assumed that if you altered a logo that was clearly not the original logo, you weren't trying to copy it, that you could get away with that. But unfortunately, you cannot. However, I do have another shirt, one that everyone's been asking for like a million times. I finally made the Let's Get After It shirt. So if you're one of the many, many people who have been telling me, make a Let's Get After It shirt, I'm waiting for it. There you go. Go to barrystepp.com or barry-stepp.com and you can buy one.
I just came back from Egypt a few months ago, and I went to 10 pyramids. On every pyramid, we found mushroom hieroglyphics, every one of them. Now, I sent this through Graham Hancock, some of these hieroglyphs, and Egyptologists said, no, they're shovels. Well, scientists don't look at Egypt in the context of the ecosystem 4,000 years ago. There's no mushrooms growing there. It's a desert. 2 other scientists have published this before me. The hieroglyphs on these temples are of psilocybin mushrooms.
So those look like mushrooms.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Boy, they still look like mushrooms.
He published this in 2016. This is the goddess Hathor at the Dendera temple. If you look this up, it gets less than 1 millimeter of rain a year. That's how dry it is. That's the vase there with these mushroom-like figures coming out, and the lower part is the blue lotus, a water lily associated with a mushroom.
Those are so obviously mushrooms.
They're not a shovel.
No,
a shovel would be upside down.
It's so obviously mushrooms,
so
but it's
obviously,
also like the way the cap is formed.
We have a reward of $1,000 for anyone who can find psilocybe cubensis DNA in the ruins. And because we can amplify the DNA, we can prove that they were either in the vases, in the ponds, or near the ponds and doing core samples.
This is so frustrating to see that the people who are in charge of dictating what the narrative is are so incompetent that they're looking at a picture that's clearly a mushroom, and they're saying it's a shovel because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want new information added to the narrative that contradicts what they've been teaching. It's getting to the point now where some of this stuff that they're trying to explain away is starting to make them look stupid. There's going to reach a point where they have no choice but to accept some of these truths about the reality of what was really going on around the pyramids and stuff. With the internet and everything, you know, everybody constantly able to do their own research and dig into this stuff and spend as much time as they want researching it, I feel like a lot of these gatekeepers are fixing to fall by the wayside. I don't think they're going to be able to continue to keep their narrative going for much longer. There's just too much information out there.
I'm not sure Americans have the appetite or the tolerance for what it means to win a war. 1941, a day that'll live in infamy, and we were attacked at Pearl Harbor. It finished with us dropping 2 nuclear bombs on a people that wouldn't submit. Like, fine, Hiroshima, are you done? No. Fine, here's Nagasaki. You know, are you done? Then we won that war in Europe, and as we pushed into Berlin, it was absolute destruction and carnage of everything. If you look at photographs from early 1945, late 1944, it is destruction in epic proportions. There's no moral equivalency when you're trying to win a war. There's winning and there's losing. That's it. And we're looking for like some moral justification about how we're going to be fighting these wars these days. And there's winning and there's losing. I realize that now people may not have the appetite of what it looks like to have an American standing with his boot on the chest of one of the evilest men to walk the face of the planet in my lifetime. But that is a beautiful, glorious thing. And I hope they can understand why that's important.
I think most people listening here are going to understand why that's important.
I can agree with that. And not only that, but I think that a lot of people here in America, and I would venture to say most of the people here in America, don't really have a good grasp of what war even is. We've never had, you know, an outside force attack us here on our own soil. You know, we had the Civil War, but that's like a verbal argument compared to what war would look like today. And I throw myself into that camp of, you know, the vast majority of people who wouldn't really understand, who can't really grasp what war would actually look like or what it would actually be. You know, I've also never experienced that, so I throw myself right in there with that lot. But I have a feeling that if we were actually fighting battles right here in America on our own soil, I don't think that we even have a good understanding of what it would look like to see a war-torn America. But unfortunately, we're probably all going to be forced to experience what that's like if things don't start changing soon. Hey, if you like this video and you enjoy this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every other day. It would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back in a couple days to join me.
Did you guys hear how they're trying to make glow-in-the-dark trees?
Avatar's already done it, dude.
Scientists, they're literally taking genes from like bioluminescent creatures, from like fireflies, jellyfish. They're integrating it into trees to where it will glow in the dark at night.
Cool.
How cool would that be?
They
like,
wanna,
imagine putting like in small towns and we don't need like lights
That's
anymore.
what they want to do.
Dude,
they said
how
no more
fun.
street lights. It would just be trees, but they're also trying to make it to where it sucks up like 100 times more carbon dioxide.
Go.
Aren't doing enough.
like, come on.
I'm just disappointed in you. Could you be better?
Imagine just like some dad. It's like this tree's father. It's like, you got to be better than you light up brother.
Your brother's toilet paper now. He's wiping butts.
You can be something better.
You can glow.
Baby, you can be a star. Dude, treehouse parties would be so much fun.
Dude.
I would much rather have trees that are toxic or something instead of just a bunch of light poles and power lines and
It
stuff.
has light. I wonder if to some extent it also has heat.
When I was little, I swallowed a firefly to see if it would glow in my stomach.
And?
Didn't.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably a bad idea. Nothing jumps to mind immediately as to what the potential downfall of this could be. Anytime they go messing with nature to try to improve on what's already there, it always plays out bad. It always ends up with negative side effects, unforeseen consequences.
Oh boy, voice-to-skull technology. This is also in the foray of directed energy weapons. The ability to, let's just say, throw your voice into your head, or my voice into my head, or allowing algorithms that now they could blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool. And I think this is a weapon of war. The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that Their agents are hearing voices in their head, and this is what they're getting at. This is that technology. Next thing you know, you're trying to make a decision, but there's another Sean in your head that now is actually somebody else's control, and through the manipulation of that voice, they can push you in a direction by repetitive information being displayed in front of you, that they can learn your system and they can learn to manipulate it on a personalized level.
To me, this is as equally terrifying as a nuclear weapon, potentially even more terrifying. The idea that someone outside of you could control your thoughts, even if you could successfully combat those thoughts and still make your own decisions, you'd go crazy. You'd go absolutely insane, constantly being told. It's like people with schizophrenia who are constantly battling their own thoughts, where they're being told to do really bad things. It would be like living in a nation of schizophrenics. That's absolutely terrifying.
Welcome to the prison planet, where everything is designed to make you suffer and your energy is being harvested. Alright, so this is my series about the prison planet. If you didn't see the previous videos, it's essentially what I was saying in the opening. Prison planet theory dictates that we are always tricked into reincarnation. We come back to this world because our energy is being harvested. Well, what kind of energy is being harvested? Our negative energy, and that's why everything in this world is designed to make us feel so negative. You can watch the previous videos if this is your first one, but today we're going to talk about Buddhism and what it potentially says about the prison planet theory. So the Buddha taught that reincarnation is an endless cycle of suffering. This cycle is called samsara. The opposite of samsara is nirvana, and that is a state of absolute joy, peace, and just extreme happiness. Well, what is samsara? It is depicted as a wheel. There's a lot going on here, and so we're going to dive into this, piece by piece, or some of the pieces. If we end up going too long, I might have to do a part 2. So at the center of the wheel, you have the 3 poisons, which are depicted as a pig, a rooster, and a snake. Pig represents ignorance. We're ignorant to the fact that we are all connected. It is thinking like an individual, only thinking for yourself. It is biting the tail of the rooster, which is represented by desire, because if you're only thinking about an individual, you're going to desire things, more money, more women, more men, whatever. This desire leads to jealousy, to hate, which is depicted by the snake. You're comparing yourself to others. You should have what they have. They have more than you. These 3 poisons are depicted biting the tails because they show that every single one of these poisons leads to the other, and it creates this endless cycle. By giving into the poisons, you live in this illusion that it is about you, that it is only you, that we are not all connected, and it starts this wheel of samsara. How and where you reincarnate is dictated by your karma. Everybody has heard the word karma, but most people do not actually understand what karma is. You often hear karma's a bitch, what comes around goes around, but that's not actually what karma is. In the Bible, Jesus talks about the chains of the devil that bind us down. And I think that explains karma really well, because what karma is every action that you have with someone, whether you hurt them, whether you do something good, whatever it is, you create a karmic debt. We are all tied to one another with these karmic debts, these chains. Debts need to be repaid. And therefore, we are in this endless cycle of reincarnation because so much debt has accrued. Not all debt is bad. Your karma dictates which realm you will reincarnate into. Like I said, there's 6 realms. You have the gods, the demigods, and the humans. You also have animals, hungry ghosts, and demon creatures or hell-like creatures. So if you're incarnated as a god, you know no suffering. Everything is pleasurable, everything is amazing. Your suffering comes at the end of your life. They live extremely long lives, by the way, but at the end of your life, you realize that you will incarnate at a lesser realm. That's where the suffering happens. An oversimplification of how you would get to this realm would be if you have a lot of positive karma, but a lot of pride. Next, you have the demigods. These are extremely powerful beings, but they're also controlled by jealousy. There's a lot of infighting, there's a lot of comparison. If you have a lot of good karma, but a lot of desire, this is where you go. A lot of Buddhist legends also say that this is where the tree of life is. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, as spoken about in the Garden of Eden, that would actually be in the realms of the gods. I'm going to skip over humans, we'll talk about that one last, but you have the realms of the animals. Animals suffer from cold, hunger, sickness, cannibalism, and a lack of intelligence. If you accrue negative karma and a lot of ignorance, this is where you would go. There's a lot of ignorance in this world, like willing ignorance. Next, you have the hungry ghosts. They suffer because their hunger, their thirst is never quenched. A lot of Buddhists talk about this is where you could potentially go if you have negative karma and addictions that are unresolved. Hence, hunger's not being quenched. It's an absolute torturous existence. Negative karma and greed is the combination for this. Most torturous existence is the hell creatures. This existence is extremely long suffering. and this is negative karma and hatred. All right, we're at 4 minutes, which is way too long, so we're going to do a part 2. We're going to talk about humans. We're going to talk about how this is a cycle. You do not win if you become God, because as you saw, it is a will. It is a cycle. You are constantly moving up and down throughout all eternity. So the question is, how do you escape this reincarnation cycle and truly go to an area of infinite bliss, which they call nirvana? All right, I'll post part 2.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about this, but I'm not going to put it all here. You'll have to tune into the podcast for the first episode. That's where we cover reincarnation and past life regression therapy and that sort of thing. That will be out probably within the next couple of weeks. I would say the first episode should be dropped. It's already been filmed and edited and everything. We're just getting a few more episodes filmed before we start releasing them. That way you aren't having to wait a long time in between episodes. My one big problem that I have with this is that it assumes that all people are going through this cycle. It assumes that every person is trapped because they are greedy and self-serving and jealous, and so they keep going through this cycle. I am by far not a perfect person, but that doesn't describe me at all. I'm sure there's been moments in my life where I've had jealousy and stuff. I'm certain of it, but in general, I'm not a jealous person. I don't desire what other people have. I feel more blessed than anything because of what I do have. I'm 41. I own my own home. I'm married. I've got 4 awesome children. I'm happy. There's not anything else that I desire. I've got what I wanted out of life. So that aspect of it, I have issues with, because I don't feel like everybody in this world is going through that cycle. There's a lot of really good people out there who don't have this mentality.
The cave system in the Appalachian Mountains is suspicious as shit, but what's actually living in there? If you ask people in my hometown, it's the Moon-Eyed people. Now, the legend of the Moon-Eyed people comes from the Cherokee Native Americans. They were short, pale-skinned, had bright blue eyes, and they could not come out during the sunlight because it would hurt their eyes. So that's why the Cherokees called them the Moon-Eyed people. Now, the Moon-Eyed people were cave dwellers in that area, and at some point in time, the Cherokee got into a tussle with these Moon-Eyed people. And during the battle, here, look. During the battle, the Moon-Eyed people built this wall that was 833 feet long. Now, it doesn't look like a wall anymore. It looks like a stone path. But back in the day, it was a big-ass wall. The Cherokee claimed that the Moon-Eyed people built this wall during the battle to keep the Cherokee out, but that didn't stop them. They still drove them out of Georgia into Tennessee and North Carolina into those cave systems. History supports the Cherokee Native American legend as well, because nobody knows who built this wall. This wall was built before Christopher Columbus came over here, and the Native Americans say they didn't build it, the Moon-Eyed people built it. So are the Moon-Eyed people still living in the cave system now, and that's why we have so many missing people in the Appalachian Mountains? Or is it just a legend?
This makes me think about all of the evidence we've seen that points towards aliens living underground, and we've heard tales of all these tunnel systems that they're building in the United States, and how they're filling it with stock, stocking it full of food and stuff like this. And they've got all these people that work under there that have these contracts where they're not even allowed to use the name Jesus. And there's all these weird rules and stuff. And the suspicion that they're housing some sort of alien entity underground. Maybe those things have been living under there for a long, long time, all the way back whenever Native Americans were occupying the United States. I don't know. That's just what it makes me think of.
This is not New York in 2023. This is Greece right now. I have a whole bunch of other ones to show you. This is insane. What would even cause this? Nope, not Mars. Still Greece.
But look at... It looks like there's... or like black. This is nuts. This is really nuts. It's literally orange. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's orange. Everything is orange.
Do you hear what he said? He said there's something black in the sky. He said that obviously it's orange, but there's something black. I'm not sure, because when New York was orange, they said it was because of the Canadian fires. But he's saying he sees something black in the sky.
There's no filter on nothing.
What could be black in the sky causing it to turn orange in Greece? On a completely unrelated note, you can buy this flamethrower dog right here, right now, for $9,500. Cheaper than most vehicles. And again, completely unrelated note, Canada is on fire, like I was showing y'all. And it's not just trains and stuff, it's literally watchtowers too. And with places turning orange, all these fires, all these big earthquakes coming out of nowhere, all these fish dying in the ocean, I feel like something's coming.
That looks like if Michael Bay had control over the color spectrum for the Earth. Everything would just be extremely golden hour. I have no idea whatsoever what's causing that. If the guy's saying there's black particles in the sky, and we know that the last time we've seen images like this was in New York and stuff, whenever they had all these wildfires, and it was all of the soot and ash and everything in the air was casting this orange glow on everything. It just makes me wonder if there's a fire nearby.
America's food supply and agricultural industry are literally under attack right now. They just found the bird flu in cow's milk. This comes after they have a massive beef recall because of E. coli. This comes after all the Texas wildfires, specifically in the Panhandle, which just so happen to be home to the majority of the cattle that are raised for beef in America. We have a massive beef shortage already, and these things keep stacking up, and we're seeing a direct attack on our agricultural economy. Remember the bridge, the Francis Key Scott Bridge that got collapsed? You know what that port is known for importing? Agricultural supplies, farming products, things like that. If we don't see what's happening, we're not going to. Like, at this point, they're trying to do it again. America is under attack, but it's not a direct one, so we don't want to think that we are. It's just happening indirectly so that when the kill shot happens, we will be taken out and unprepared for it, just like it happened last time. We saw it once and we did nothing. We're seeing it again and we cannot afford to, because if we allow this to happen again, there may not be any return to normalcy. We will be locked down, we will be controlled, and we will be herded towards the new agenda, towards the new world order. They are trying to take America out because America has to fall in order for a new power to rise. And unfortunately, that means it's going to directly affect each and every single one of us. We need to get ready because it's coming.
I hate to blackpill anybody, but this guy is absolutely onto something. What's frustrating with the whole food situation is if they can control our food supply, they can control us. Fact. There's no disputing that. There's too many people out here that don't know how to hunt, don't know how to, garden, don't know how to grow their own food. If they can slow down our food supply and start starving the population, they can control them and get them to do whatever they want, because you'll do anything if you're starving to death. You'll do anything for a cheeseburger. So what's so frustrating is, with all that in mind, the powers that be could just claim that they've discovered this outbreak. They don't have to actually prove anything to us. They could just make the claim that they discovered it and start killing off cattle and start pulling milk off the shelves. All you can do is just take their word for it.
If we lived in this model, then this would have to be a giant ice wall that is the highest elevation than anywhere else. And it is. If we lived here and the Earth is not a ball at 25,000 miles in circumference, then that would mean that the outer edge of Antarctica is like roughly 60,000 miles around. Captain James Cook sailed around Antarctica. He approached this giant ice barrier and was going to go around Antarctica, and he was constantly looking for a way in and kept going. He realized the wall was too tall, so he just kept sailing for 60,000 miles. He eventually realized, man, it's going to take a high jump to get over that wall. Also, if we lived here, then there would be a 24-hour sun here and not down here. All these places in the north have a 24-hour sun. That's right, all of them. They say the South Pole has a 24-hour sun, but if the North Pole has a 24-hour sun and all the continents around it, then the South Pole and all of the continents around it should have it as well. Like Australia, but it doesn't. Or South America, but it doesn't. I also feel like if we lived here and they were really trying to hide it from us, then no one would be able to go here. I mean, we would figure it out. Oh yeah, it is off limits, the Antarctic Treaty. Do you know of anything else that all countries agree on together? I know one other thing, the Artemis Accords. All countries agree on space exploration as well. And of course, Google's gonna tell you Antarctica is not off limits. It's just tightly regulated. They're almost like, look, you can go there, but you can't go there. You can go there, you can explore freely, but don't go there, don't explore freely. Look, we've tried to go by plane, we've tried to go by boat. Military is ready and waiting to take over communications and turn you around. Once you go flat, you never go back, and that's the thing. In order to see the big picture, you got to connect all of the dots.
You know, what I find fascinating about a lot of these flat earth videos is they will lay out some actual facts that will confuse the hell out of you. You know, his estimation or guesstimation that the ice wall would be 60,000 miles long in circumference, and then this dude sailed 60,000 miles trying to find an opening to get through the ice wall. That's some pretty heavy-weighted evidence to point toward a flat earth. Of course, that one video is not going to be enough to convince anyone that the earth is flat. I just can't help but take notice of how interesting some of these facts and figures are that they use to try to prove a flat earth. Yeah, makes your brain hurt a little bit.
This is going to blow your mind. Can you explain this?
In 1561, an unusual event occurred over Nuremberg. Witnesses reported seeing a vast array of objects in the sky, described as spheres, disks, and cylinders engaged in a battle-like formation. Some accounts mention smoke, fire, and strange colors, all being seen at this phenomenon. It lasted for about an hour, leaving many people bewildered and frightened. Despite various theories, the causes of the celestial event remain a mystery, sparking debates and fascination among historians and ufologists alike.
Okay, so this not only happened once in 1561, and this is the story, so I'm going to let you pause this and read this anytime. I'm not about to read it to you, so I don't want to bore anyone, but it's all there, and it's very interesting and very confusing. Like, if people actually saw what they're saying, what could be the explanation? And then I found out it didn't only happen once, but twice. Because look, there's another one, August 1566 in Basel, Switzerland, similar location, very similar to what they saw. What do you think?
That sounds like we had two different alien races having war up in the sky in 1561 and 1566. Pretty fascinating. I would say, I like stuff like this. I would say that with them having this actually reported in their news articles or whatever, this is actually written down as a historical thing that actually happened, and you have all these witnesses and everything, and then there's a second instance where it happens again that it's described almost identically, again with multiple witnesses, everybody sitting there watching this take place. You can't just write that off and say, oh, it's probably just a bunch of people seeing something in the sky they didn't understand. You know, there's no logical explanation for what they were witnessing. It's not like people writing down the sun disappeared and we think it was aliens, and then all these years later we understand what a solar eclipse is. It's not one of those type scenarios. So very interesting. Guys, that's actually the end of our clips today, but before y'all head off, I went and checked my P.O. box and I got a couple packages in the mail. So the first package comes with a note. Hey Barry, I hope you enjoy these books about Earth's naturally occurring energies accompanied by various mathematical expressions and equations that I do not understand. Thank you for persevering with making YouTube videos. You have a great deal of patience to keep after it. My husband and I really enjoy your content, and I must admit I found your channel and binged until I caught up. I appreciate how you present material, particularly that of a controversial nature. You state your opinion while remaining respectful towards the audience percentage who might not feel that way. That's an ability more people should invest time into mastering. On more of a personal note, I work as a crisis counselor for 988, a suicide and crisis lifeline. I would ask your other viewers and everyone you know to please never suffer alone in silence. We talk to people about all kinds of issues, not just life or death situations. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie, thank you. That is awesome. And sent me 2 books that I've never heard of, but look really interesting. The Energy Grid by The Energy Grid, Harmonic 695, The Pulse of the Universe. This is right up my alley, so thank you so much. And secondly, by the same author, The Bridge to Infinity. So these are books on frequencies and how they affect us and our planet, and or at least that's what it appears to be books on, and that is... you hit the nail on the head. That is exactly the type of thing I'm interested in. So I'm excited to dive into those. Thank you very much, Jamie. Second thing we have a note. Hey, Barry, love your channel and content. Healthy skeptic with a dose of reality. Excellent. I hand make these ornaments and thought you might enjoy. Keep up the good work. Kate Harold. All right, let's see what these look like. check that out. That is absolutely going on my Christmas tree. That is so freaking cool. It's a Bigfoot wandering around out in the woods. And there's another one. Whoa. I don't know how you make these, but these are awesome. It's got a cow being abducted by a UFO on the back. These are so freaking cool. Thank you so much. These are awesome. These are absolutely going on the Christmas tree. And my wife and kids are going to love these. These are so cool. Let me know where you sell these things online if you do, and I will plug your website because these things are absolutely awesome. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips that we watched together today. I'll be back in 2 days with another video. I hope you come back to join me. I hope everybody has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your evening, and I will see you in the next video.